And on today's show, why lead generation has such a bad reputation. Part one of this week's series on prospecting through lead generation with CEO Tom Carolan of Parasol Leads, the 2014 winner of the Best Lead Quality Award. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician and Innsmark. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you, Steve.
Tom, tell me about this award, because this is really there's so many lead generation companies out there. What are the qualifications? What do you need to get that award? What are they looking at?
It's an award that is compiled from a survey carried out by the Lead Council. It's a yearly award.
Well, excuse me. There's a whole council that looks at this?
There is a council.
So there's a committee that has set the boundaries, the requirements, the kind of due diligence and best practices on this?
To raise the industry standard. They produce best practices, documents on that, and they require that participants and members of the council abide by those rules. And what they're looking to do is raise the quality of lead generation in the industry.
Now, in the past, we've had a bad reputation. I mean, a lot of the leads, and I'm just going to be honest, my 30 years, 80% of everything I've seen has not been really good for us as an industry. We're purchasing leads, they go nowhere, they seem to be retread all the time, refried leads. We're really not seeing any quality. But I noticed in your system, because we did a lot of scanning and vetting of many lead generations. We're trying to figure out who's got a good deal, and we didn't even realize that there was such a council and people overseeing the industry to try to really bring up the quality of our reputation as a lead generation company. When you have that, when you got that award, how long ago was that? I think
that was January 2014.
It was just this year.
Just happened.
Okay, so how does that actually help you then? Because that's a big national award. How did that help you? Did you have instant impact on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's great press for the company, and we're obviously very proud of it. It shows us that we are on track, we're doing the right thing, and it provides feedback to us. It lets us know that the people that are using our leads are happy with those.
When the industry has an overall bad reputation, you have this good reputation, you just won this award, you have a very decent reputation out online. What happens? What are we doing wrong in the big picture? Most lead generation systems, I think in their heart, they want to help the agent. But a lot of these leads are really not that great.
I think there's a disconnect between the real world and the lead generation. And I think that out there in the industry, there's a lot of separation, and lead generation is thought of as a revenue generating, a profit generating system. And what's forgotten is that at the end of the line, you've got a consumer and you have an agent. And what has not happened is the connection between those two has never been valued, I don't think, high enough. And I think it's just very, very important to value the experience that the consumer has and thereby improve the experience that the agent has, which is what we've tried to do.
I'm trying to think of the last one. This is about 7-8 months ago, where we had some agents buy some leads. They felt like I think they got about 12 or 13 leads, and they were able to contact only 3 people, and out of those 3 people, only 1 was sold. They were paying about $75 a lead, which seemed to me relatively in the middle or a little cheap. So when you see a number like that, and that's consistent, what's going on in your mind? Is it the lead? Is it the agent? What's going on? I know it's kind of a hard thing to quantify, but what's going on in a
It's
stat
a very
like
hard
that?
thing to comment on when I'm not aware of where those leads came from, first of all. There are so many things that can be going on. I don't know how those leads were generated. There definitely is responsibility on the part of the agent to provide a good service, to provide good information to the consumer. And there's a sales cycle. So over what period of time were those leads worked, and were they followed up on the way that they should have been?
If they're generated from the internet, is that different than from a mailer? You're going to get different numbers?
Absolutely.
Well, talk a little bit about which one do you think is now proving itself more readily available as a profit center?
You've got 2 very different animals there. Leads generated from a mailer, those consumers had very different expectations than a lead generated online. An online consumer, they want immediate gratification.
Oh, well, so really what you're saying is if I have this lead and it hits my email, I need to get on this.
And you need to be aware, if you're the agent, you need to be aware of, okay, well, what is best suited for me? Am I the kind of person, the kind of agent that will work best with a direct mail kind of lead? Or am I someone that will be on it and be able to provide the information to the consumer as quickly as they need it or they want
If we have a disconnect there, could that be one of the big reasons why we have such poor returns on leads?
That is definitely a part of the reason.
So we have to determine which way we want to go on this, what's good for us, and are we actually going to follow up on this, which when we get in another segment, we're going to talk about this because this is the big, we all have to be participating in this as partners to make this work.
We do. And of course there is a part to play from the lead generation company's point of view. The industry over the last decade or so has been involved in overselling of leads, which is part of that disconnect. You know, they look at the lead generation as a revenue generating profit center, and they really forget about the experience of the consumer. If you bring that experience back into the equation, well then you're not going to have overselling. So yeah, I mean there are definitely many factors out there, marketing factors, which determine the results, but also how the lead was generated, how many times was it sold, was it generated through an affiliate who also sold that multiple times? I mean, they're all key factors.
Another thing we're going to talk about right after the break is how to target your ideal consumer market, because you may be in the wrong market. We'll be right back in about 30 seconds. Back in the day, life insurance professionals were called field underwriters. Then, carriers trained their field force in the basics of life insurance underwriting. Today, the insurance industry doesn't educate the agent population as they once did. But now you can have the Informed Risk Guide at your fingertips so you can illustrate a reasonable rate class for your life insurance prospects. Just request your copy of the Informed Risk Guide at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. It's free from Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back to our second segment. And you know, Tom, we're talking about this because when I think about this, are we actually selecting the right target market too? I mean, we have to figure out, are we doing that by product? Are we doing that on our planning strategies? How do we know if we're targeting the ideal market for what I want to do and integrate with a new client, a new prospect?
An interesting question. It takes data. You need a lot of data. You need to be in the market, marketing, collecting data, and optimizing that data to target the right kind of consumer for you.
So if I'm into long-term care, I mean, we have people that specialize in specific product. They may have a general practice, but they're really morbidity agents. They like long-term care. They like medical insurance. They like final expense. They're kind of in these little areas here. And when they look at that, am I saying, well, I'm a long-term care guy. So how do I learn how to market? And is that really truly my ideal market? Or am I saying, no, I need to change my thinking. It's not long-term care, it's senior market.
When I refer to optimizing, I had an experience where I ran an agency and I did the same marketing across different regions. Identical marketing, identical scripts on the telephone in response to those inbound calls, but yet the results were so different. So in one neighboring community, you had a very different result than you did in the next community.
Now you're talking about, when you say community, you're talking about zip code?
No, I'm talking about cities.
So one city is going to be totally different on what you're marketing?
Completely different.
So you have to know your city and how to market to who you're talking to.
But the only way I could have found that out was if I'm marketing to multiple cities, and then I can identify the geography. Now that's just identifying geography. But then within those markets, you have to identify income brackets, age brackets, and all the other demographic data about the market.
But advisor doesn't have time for that. We just don't have time to get the demographics and do the marketing R&D on this. So this is a frustration because we say we think we have our ideal market, and we might turn out we're sending our propaganda, our promotional material to a city that may not really be responding to it properly. That's what I'm hearing you say.
That is what I'm saying.
So let's just talk about that. If I don't have the time, and if I could live off referrals, I do it. And everybody's complaint in our industry is we just are not doing a good job on referrals and the people that we do business with, getting them to refer us. And that's why people go out and say, I need new prospects, new leads. I need to keep bringing new people in, which I do believe in. I think you need a flow of new people. But when I'm thinking about targeting the ideal market, how do I get data like this so I can make a determination myself? Or is that just so outside an advisor's world?
The life and advisor is a busy one. They've got a lot on their plate with regulation, compliance, products. And it's very, very difficult to also be on top of the marketing world and the social media world at the rate of change there. To talk about referrals, if you have a system in place and probably you're outsourcing your primary marketing functions, which might be lead generation, and if you're doing a good job there of targeting, then in targeting the right kind of consumer, the referrals will come because you're targeting the right kind of consumer. You're a good match. So that's the beginning. You've got to have a good...
In your practice, do you see that as that this is one of those correlated issues that we talk about, that you have to match up the advisor, what you think his forte is, his expertise, maybe even his background of his education, and you have to match that up to the demographic that will play to his strength?
We definitely have to help with that. So there is definitely a lot of conversation back and forth between us and our clients as we continually try to optimize and tweak their account to make sure that they are getting the best results.
Well, when I think of the ideal market and trying to target, I'm thinking, well, if I'm in social media, this is still brand new to our industry, even though I've been in it now 3 years. I still think we're still learning on a big learning curve on what works and not. And it seems like it's a scattergun technique out there. I'm just shooting as much as I can, hoping that the law of large numbers will pick it up. But when you see social media, can I actually drive a lead off my LinkedIn account, my Facebook account, my Twitter account, my Google Plus account? Is that reasonable?
It is reasonable. It's labor intensive. It's difficult if you're a standalone agent to do that, everything that you have to do on your own. It is definitely doable.
If I was targeting my ideal client through a series of social media, maybe mailing, maybe certain kind of calls in my demographics, do I need multiple prong approach to get a holistic campaign, or can I sit there and maybe cherry pick one over the other that works better?
The holistic approach is nirvana. I mean, that is definitely, if you can reach that point, that is a great place to be.
How much crossover when you guys are doing, when you're creating leads, and we're going to get into this tomorrow, how did that even happen? How do you even create them? When you're doing that, are you thinking in those terms, hey, how are we going to hit the demographics? We're trying to hit the strength of the agent. I mean, you're correlating all this information.
We approach it from a different standpoint than an agent would. What we're doing is we're creating a funnel, and the funnel at the top end has to be very wide to capture as much data as possible. So we're capturing thousands and thousands of leads per day, and they are coming into a funnel, and then that information is being sorted.
Thousands a day.
Thousands a day.
Thousands. A day. Wow.
And that information is being sorted and distributed based on demographic information and filtering information.
That blows my mind. We're talking about thousands of consumers, so the public is inquiring.
In their thousands, every day.
Wow. Well, that's all we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? You can visit any of our past episodes at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.